Well, hey there. In this episode of the Hackyard Mechanic, we get to take the bed off of a 2003 Dodge Dakota so that we can replace a fuel pump in it. Now, there's two times that a fuel pump is going to go out in one of these vehicles. One of them is going to be right after you filled the tank, and another is when you're actually on your way somewhere. And wouldn't you know it, both of those occasions happened to me the other day. I had just filled the tank and I had loaded the bike on the back and was heading up for a ride when it decided that it wanted to go out. So anyways, I have already removed the 4 bolts on each side, so 8 bolts total that hold the bed to the frame. Apparently there are 4 more little Torx head screws to hold the fuel neck in. I'll get those out. And then there's a little tube that runs from the bumper back to where you get the spare tire out. Apparently somebody's already removed that. So hopefully I never have to change a tire on it. Anyway, stay tuned. We'll catch up. Okay, going to show you the progress here. When you don't have the right equipment, you make it up as you go. So in order to get this bed off of here, since I don't have a lift, I do have a come along and a tie down ratchet strap. Ran them across the rafters up there, and seems to be holding. It's coming up, it's just a back and forth, back and forth. All right, so we've got the bed lifted and supported, blocked, so it's not going to drop on us. I still have the straps taut, and we're ready to start getting this fuel pump out of here. It's going to be this electrical connection, this fuel line, and then we'll have to unscrew the cap here and pull it out. Those 4 bolts on each side I was telling you about, there's one, you can't really see it back here because I got my sawhorse in the way. Then there's one here, and one back here. Can't see it because those blocks are in the way. You got to get those 4 out on each side. Then there's an electrical connection in the back. Let me scoot around. Yippee-ki-yay here. Electrical connection for the tail lights. I only need to take the one side off. Could have taken the other side off, but I'm not completely removing the bed. This is that there's a shaft that comes through here. It actually ends up coming through here, and that's to lower your spare tire down. And my shaft is missing, or at least the guide for the shaft is missing, so I'll either have to replace that or just pray I don't get a flat. This fuel line here has a pinch connector. Here goes in, this slips over it, and supposed to probably have a special tool take it off. I was able to get my fingers in there and pinch it and push the line up towards it, pinch it, and then be able to pull it back out. Really not that difficult. Okay, in order to get this out, you gotta get this ring off, and mine was pretty tight, so I ended up using a big oil filter strap wrench. Gotta have one big enough to go around, and I actually ended up having to go around the backside there, so I was kind of leaning in over the frame rails, but all's well that ends well. Okay, now things are getting interesting. So I got the right pump the very first time. That's great. Pulled the old one out. Told you I was going to check in the tank because there was a little bit of sediment on it. I looked in the tank and there was absolutely no gas in the tank. So it would appear that I just literally ran out of gas, which doesn't happen very often, but let me back up for a second. I had just the day before gone to Costco and filled up, and I checked the pump when it was done and it said $100, so I filled up. Now, when I left Costco, my gauge never changed and the gas light stayed on, but it does that on occasion. That was one of the reasons I had been talking and thinking about replacing this pump. So anyway, it didn't really bother me that the light was on and that the gauge was at empty. I was expecting to hit a bump and have it go back to normal, which it has done in the past. So I head out Saturday, pump goes out or run out of gas, whatever. Then when I'm looking in the pump or in the tank, I didn't find gas, but I found this. This is a gasket for a fuel pump. No, it's not a gasket for the fuel pump I took out, because this is the gasket for the fuel pump I took out. Yes, identical, but they only take one. So at some point, somebody dropped one in. I'm thinking that might have been messing with my sending unit for the fuel gauge. I don't know. So there's a few options. Number one, somehow I completely missed everything and ran out of gas. It's plausible, it's possible. Number two, somebody siphoned the gas out of my truck while it sat down at the parking ride. Or number three, Costco's pump was off and I don't know, something weird happened there. I'm leaning on option number two, that somebody siphoned the gas. I'm going to go ahead and put the new pump in just because I've had a couple other issues with it. You know, things don't always go the way you think they're going to go. I'll talk to you later. Well, the new fuel pump is in. Now I got to put the bed back down. But while I had this up, here's another benefit of pulling the bed off. Just in the right place. Look at that. There's a nail. I'm going to have to fix that. Hang on. All right, well, we found a nail in the tire. I'll tell you what, if they're not leaking, you never want to pull a nail out of a tire unless you've got a way to fix it right away. I happen to have a plug kit here, so we'll just go ahead and take care of that. The reason you don't want to pull them out is it's possible they're in and they're not leaking. They're not causing a leak. We'll see if this one is. This one's in here pretty good. Yeah, it's leaking. Gotta rough it up. There we go. And then pull that out. Woo! And then you want to cut off the excess. And I'll just add some air. That's all there is to it. Enjoy. Of course, after plugging the tire, it's always good to make sure it's not leaking. Plugs and patches. Don't want to waste your time. No leaks. There you go. Okay, moment of truth. Put gas in it. I hear the pump pumping. Hey, look at that. Gas gauge is moving. I got about quarter tank, which is right, because I put about 6 gallons in there. And it fired up. Beautiful. Huh. Well, what do you know about that? All right, well, let's try and wrap this thing up. So the bed is back on the Dakota. It's back outside under its own power. The fuel gauge is working good now. The fuel pump is working good now. There's gas in it now. Fixed a flat tire, and I actually took the spare out because I didn't have that little piece that runs between the bed and the tire release. I thought if I ever have a flat tire, that's going to be near impossible to get out. So took care of that while we had it apart. Did all that without any specialty equipment, just stuff you'd find in a barn, some straps and come along, and well, a ladder, chain, and what else? Oh, some lumber for blocking. But now I got to give you some full disclosure, some honesty here, confession perhaps. I went in on the computer and I wanted to find out, man, has somebody been stealing gas from me, or what's going on here? And so I looked up on my credit card, and the day I went to Costco and I put my card in and I put the hose in my tank and I turned it on, I didn't get any gas. So that was me. I was there. I put my money in. I'm pretty sure, I thought I had cleared it, and I started it and I heard it pumping, I thought, but I didn't. And you know what I realized? No matter how good a fuel pump is, if it doesn't have any fuel, if there's nothing in there, it ain't gonna pump nothing. It can't pump what's not there. And furthermore, if it's not pumping, the truck's not running. It's not producing the power, the life that it's supposed to have. And that got me to thinking, kind of along spiritual lines. I'm a pastor anyways. How many times do we go to church and we think we're doing it, and maybe we even put our money in, and we're listening to things and we're enjoying, but we walk away empty. We walk away and we're not having the life that we thought we'd have. We're not having the life that Scripture seems to promise. I'm not talking about having all the best of everything, new stuff. I mean, that's prosperity preaching. I'm not into that. But Jesus did say something in John chapter 15. He said he was the vine and we're the branches. And he's called us to produce, but we can only do so if we remain in him. And it's kind of like having fuel in the tank. The pump is there and it's going to work, but it can't pump what's not there. Jesus said we can't do anything if we're not connected to him. Doesn't matter how often we go to church, doesn't matter how much we put in the offering, doesn't matter how long we stand around and listen to things going on. If there's nothing in the tank, not going to be any life being produced. In fact, you might put it this way: if there's no fruit, there's no root. All right, well, chew on that. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Hackyard Mechanic. Tune in again and see what we work on next time. And while you're at it, why don't you subscribe, like, and share this stuff. You have a great day. We'll talk to you next time. Oh, might have also learned that I don't have much fashion sense. Good old tie-dye, but it's good for working out on stuff.